A major move in Newport News. The city manager names a permanent chief of police. Thanks for joining us. I'm Janet Roach.
And I'm David Allen. This comes after Richard Myers retired 9 months ago. The new chief is Steve Drew, who comes from the Richmond PD. 13 News Now reporter Chanu Hur is live in Newport News with more on today's announcement.
Well, that's right, guys. The city just introduced Steve Drew as the new police chief here in Newport News. And like you mentioned, he came here from Richmond, where he was the deputy chief of police. Now, Chief Drew says he sees lots of similarities between Newport News and Richmond, which was a big draw for him to come to this area. One thing that he stressed today, and he talked about it over and over, was building a relationship with the community and earning their trust. He says he wants to make sure the community understands how police work and why they do the things they do, why they make the decisions they make, and hopefully through that and some transparency between the community and the police department, it'll lead to stronger relationships and just both sides understanding each other. In the end, the city manager did say in total 20 people applied for the job. Six went through the interview process, and in the end, they selected Chief Steve Drew. Live in Newport News, Chanu Hur, 13 News Now.
All right, Chanu, thank you. And now 13 News Now investigative reporter Laura Geller broke this story, and she broke this story for us this morning.
And she joins us now with more on the new chief. Laura?
Well, guys, Steve Drew will lead Newport News Police after almost 25 years with the Richmond Police Department. He is currently one of 2 deputy chiefs there. And Drew has worked in almost every part of the department: narcotics, homeland security, and major crimes. There, he oversaw many homicide investigations in some of Richmond's most crime-ridden neighborhoods. That knowledge could help him in Newport News, where the murder count is on the rise. And Drew could continue some of the community engagement initiatives former Chief Richard Myers was known for. In Richmond, he was an advocate for community policing. He often went to crime scenes and made the rounds at neighborhood events. And if you want to know a little bit more about the new chief, we put those details on our website. Just look for this story. Laura Geller, 13 News Now.
After a destructive 2017 hurricane season, NOAA says this next one will probably be closer to normal. And that's a good thing because activity is already brewing in the tropics. And Jeff, you're tracking a system near the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah, and believe it or not, by the end of the holiday weekend and early next week, it could be affecting us with at least some of the moisture. Obviously, nothing out there right now, but let's widen this and take a look at what's going on, as you said, down there, sort of between the Yucatan Peninsula and Cuba. The actual center of the storm is still over land, but the odds are going up compared to what we talked about yesterday. Now, I think yesterday we said 70 or maybe 80% chance in the next 5 days. Now it's looking like a 90% chance somewhere here between the west coast of Florida and around Louisiana. Most likely, I think, is somewhere here from the Panhandle over through about maybe the New Orleans area, maybe Mobile Bay, for example. And if you look over the course of history, it's fairly rare for a storm in this position to form this early in the year. But as we said, 90% chance of development. It'll be one of very few to form. I think it's 5 or 8 in the last 100 and some years since in the last week of May. But anyway, here are some of the various computer models. Again, right in generally, maybe 50, 60 miles around Mobile Bay. Not going to be a strong storm. It's likely to become Alberto, however, and then slowly work its way north. That'll eventually pull some of the moisture toward us. That's what we'll be discussing as part of the forecast for the end of the holiday weekend. I'll have all those details coming up.
Jeff, thanks. New information about a Virginia Beach man charged as an accessory in a murder. Henry Smith was in court this morning. Prosecutors say he helped Andre Bigby evade arrest. Bigby is charged in the February shooting death of a 19-year-old father at the oceanfront. He was arrested in California in April. 13 News Now reporter Stephen Graves is in the studio with us tonight with those details.
U.S. Marshals gave the news that Bigby was arrested exactly a month after Jalen was killed. So how does a murder suspect get so far away? Prosecutors say they know one man had something to do with it. 34-year-old Henry Smith is accused of trying to help a man get away with murder. A stretch of an accusation if you ask his lawyer, but today a judge moved the case forward after new evidence was revealed.
Today was kind of a little bit of relief.
Relief, but still few answers for Jalen Harris's family. Back in February, the 19-year-old father was shot near the oceanfront and later died.
He was loved by everybody.
After interviews, police immediately started looking for 30-year-old Andre Bigby as the shooter. A detective said Bigby called Smith right after the shooting. In the days following, police say Smith met up with Bigby's girlfriend in Hampton multiple times. There, she would give him Bigby's wallet, clothes, cell phone. Police say 2 times Smith was caught on surveillance at a North Carolina convenience store. They say it's near where Bigby has family, where he might have been hiding. Weeks later, though, after tips, U.S. Marshals picked up Bigby in a deserted part of California. Smith's defense says this doesn't prove he knew anything about Bigby's murder charge. Detectives admitted there's no physical evidence connecting him to the shooting. Jalen's family says they don't even know if the young father knew Bigby or Smith. They're still waiting on one answer.
What really took place? Why Jalen's not here?
Prosecutors say, though, what makes their case stronger is what Smith said in an interview moments after being arrested. They played that tape for us in court, and that part of the story is coming up on 13 News Now at 6. Stephen Graves, 13 News Now.
Tomorrow night, neighbors will hold a candlelight lighting honoring an 11-year-old girl who was killed in Norfolk. LaToya Smith and DeMont Harris are charged in the death of Smith's daughter, Heaven Watkins. She died of blunt force trauma in an Ocean View home on Friday. The vigil is tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. on Bellevue Avenue. Neighbors will release balloons that are pink and purple, Heaven's favorite colors.
Virginia State Police say they will be out in full force over the Memorial Day weekend. Last year, troopers arrested 109 drunk drivers. They also issued more than 10,000 speeding tickets. There were more than 2,000 reckless driving citations and more than 800 seatbelt violations. The increased patrols will be in place from Friday through Monday.
The holiday weekend is almost upon us, and for most people, it's a time to cook out or go to the beach or just have fun. But for many military families, the occasion is about something much more somber. 13 News Now reporter Mike Gooding takes us to a special remembrance ceremony hosted by the Navy and the Army.
Joint Expeditionary Base Little Creek Fort Story has lost 88 soldiers and sailors since 9/11. Today it was all about remembering them.
SO1, Kevin Ebert. SO2, Matthew Cantor.
I think anytime you lose a single person, if you're that family or you're that spouse or you're that child who grows up without a mom or dad, it's a huge number.
Little Creek is home to Naval Special Warfare, Explosive Ordnance Disposal Units, and the Seabees, in addition to numerous surface and amphibious ships. Fort Story is home to the 11th Transportation Battalion. They've deployed many times since 2001 to some of the most dangerous places in the world. The two bases have more than known their fair share of loss. Joint Base Commanding Officer Joey Franson wants people to remember.
I think often, we think of Memorial Day, we think of barbecues, we think of all the things that are not related to what the purpose of Memorial Day, which is really to honor our fallen. And I think it's important that we say their names, we see their faces, so it is become real.
88 heroes gone but never forgotten. Not at Little Creek, not at Fort Story. Mike Gooding, 13 News Now.
A former Virginia Beach-based Navy SEAL receives the Medal of Honor. Today, President Trump awarded the honor to retired Master Chief Britt Slabinski. The recognition honors Slabinski's courage in rescuing a team member 16 years ago in Afghanistan. After their helicopter crashed, SEAL Team 6 was under heavy fire from al-Qaeda. Slabinski led his SEALs up a mountain to recover a lost member. He is the 12th living service member awarded the highest military honor for bravery.
The Navy drops a negligent homicide charge against the former commanding officer of the USS John S. McCain. That's according to the Navy Times. Commander Alfredo Sanchez was charged after the ship collided with another vessel in the Pacific last August. That collision left 10 sailors dead, and there's no word yet on why those charges were dropped. Sanchez will face dereliction charges at a special court-martial tomorrow.
In a surprise move, President Trump calls off high-stakes nuclear talks with North Korea's Kim Jong-un. The president canceled the summit in a letter to Kim. Speaking at the White House after the release of the letter, President Trump said the world was losing a chance for lasting peace. He said sanctions against North Korea will continue.
Well, many things can happen, and a great opportunity lies ahead potentially. I believe that this is a tremendous setback for North Korea and indeed a setback for the world.
North Korea threatened to pull out of the talks, a top official saying, "We will never beg the U.S. for dialogue nor take the trouble to persuade them."